let's consider a bull case because there are all kinds of hypotheticals. That being said, the ETF was just released like here, right? That's where the Bitcoin ETF was released. Um, Actually, it might have been Mark the Turnaround. And that being said, now you have access to large pools of capital. And that's the same thing that happened with gold in 2003. And in the um, Bitcoin market, gold moves um, like Bitcoin, but uh, like years or months, right? And so when you look at this pattern, right, typically we'd expect this to break down with this kind of price movement. But look at this, and look at this huge buy wall, right? So yeah, we could have it's like the same buy wall. There's tons of momentum here. Um, and so we could see the monthly playing out like this. Now this is over 8 years, and this might be compressed to 3 years. And if we're only here and we have this much of a move left, that would be very interesting. It would be breaking tradition. But that being said, you look at these little bumps in gold earlier, this is the same kind of behavior that Bitcoin was doing before it had access to huge pools of capital, right? Classic Wall Street cheat sheet breakdown, value, despair, hope. Okay. So we can't look at the past as the future necessarily. The market has changed. We could only be here and be waiting for a big move up, right? And have it not follow traditional cycles. So that's the only point is, I mean, it becomes a big different scale of a move up over a longer period of time. Whereas previously, this has been the move, and we just expect to continue this and repeat it. But this looks like a road bump on the way to this, and each move gets parabolically larger. So we kind of have to zoom out. What does this look like? I don't know. It doesn't look like a euphoria. So it could be like, here, when gold moved up. This doesn't feel like a parabolic move, does it? Right up to here. And that probably felt like shit, right? So you go from 20% correction and then up, right? And it probably, if I was to guess, it aligns with the previous peak, right? So look at the previous peak. Okay. 700, 700. Okay, these are people that sold because they bought here and everything was underwater, and so they're like, gold sucks. I'm gonna get my money out. So at least they're patient enough to get their money out, and then they miss this, they miss this. Okay, so the previous high 2021 was $70,000, 70,000, right? We're at 120,000. We dropped down to 96. This shit's over. Okay, we could drop down lower, even. But does that mean it's over? Good question. We're only about here on the RSI monthly. And this could turn around out of nowhere. So potentially right here, much better than we were price-wise 4 years ago. Potentially all this left, which is a run up to 150 to $450,000, and then we see a bear market. And that bear market is probably not long lasting, not deep cut. Back down to this, around this previous high range, right? $100,000. Do that for a year, pump back up to 250, off to $1 million, right? Hypothetically, that's kind of how it work. And this is gold's in a new bull market too. Look at this huge fucking buy window. But it's the same with Bitcoin, right? So the debasement trade is on, right? The fundamentals are there. How do you want to play it?